Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Happy summer, or maybe it's happy winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. I know we have listeners from all over the globe, including members in our inner circle from all over the globe. So, wherever you are, happy July. This month, inside my private coaching group, the Retailers Inner Circle, we're celebrating our wonderful shop owner members with a Member Appreciation Month. I'm kind of excited about it. So, we're celebrating and shining a light on all of our members with weekly giveaways. We're doing shout outs, bonus trainings, and some surprises I really don't want to share here, but I'll be sharing with them inside the group. I really love our members, and one way that I wanted to shine a little extra light on them is to highlight some of the fantastic past podcasts that I have done featuring our community stars. Let me just say, past podcast is hard to say a few times in a row. Anyhow, I wanted to bring back a few of the wonderful episodes that we have done with members and replay them. So in case you miss them and or you want to re-listen to them because they are all so valuable. I enjoyed every single one of these. We have so many more episodes. I want to encourage you to go back and listen to any of our podcasts that we've done. I will say probably our most popular podcast posts are always with members. So I also wanted to invite you to start your holiday prep and your Q3 and all of the things that are going on inside your head, I'm sure, right now about getting ready for the holidays and into our Retailers Inner Circle. This is a perfect time to join members like you're going to listen to today and our other fabulous members. I think we have the best online community for independent retail shop owners. I promise you, it's a great group. So if you're looking for retail business mentoring from me or from our guest experts, we have tools and resources. We also have a really supportive peer-to-peer community group. I promise you, we have got you covered. So when you join us, you get access to our seasoned retail community. Again, lots of experience inside the Retailers Inner Circle. You get access to me. You can ask me questions. And once a month, we do live coaching. But you immediately get access to all our resources. They're literally right there in your back pocket. You can get them anytime you want. We don't fire hose you inside the Retailers Inner Circle with information. You take what you need when you need it and ask questions and move yourself along. So that's been a priority of mine through the entire creation of the Retailers Inner Circle. So you get all our resources. You get my course, Retail Made Simple, which goes through leadership, marketing, operations, planning, and time management. Hello, time management. And also, as I mentioned, our entire retail library that has dozens of masterclasses. We have tools, we have templates. I don't know, we have all the things for you. So we also give our members every month a detailed business playbook. This is packed with social media and email marketing prompts, promotional ideas, operational checklists. There's so many things in there for you. We just revamped this year. It is fabulous. Our retailers are loving it. We basically did all the thinking for you, which is, I think that's worth a lot. And it's all designed to make your life easier. We also have quarterly editable social media graphics. This takes the hassle out of your social media, so you can just go in, edit them up to make your branding and to fit your branding, and then plug them in so you have a big chunk of your social media done, so you can schedule those in advance. We have the Q&A call, as I mentioned, with yours truly. I get to chat with you and you can ask me anything. If you can't make it live, you have an opportunity to post your question we have a Google form. You fill it out. I'll answer your question and you can watch it in the replay. You don't have to join us live, although I love that. I will tell you, I love that. We also have our popular Holiday Success Bootcamp. Now, come on, you guys, this is probably one of our most popular things inside the Retailers Inner Circle. I have been doing it for 7 years, and this year's even better than before. We've updated it. We're adding different promotional guides, event planning done for you event planning. We'll help you figure all the big chunks out for you. Again, trying to make your life a little bit easier. We've got the events and promotional ideas and planning for you through January. Basically, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can use other people's ideas. We can work together. It's just a really profitable, it'll help you be more profitable and easier holiday. So our boot camp's pretty popular, and that is included inside the Retailer's Inner Circle. So I've got you. See that? I got all that. So I honestly don't want to talk you into this. I don't want to go on and on about the Retailer's Inner Circle, but I do want you to know how special the group is and how accessible it is. We have a tuition fee on the front and then a low monthly fee, so you can just keep getting your information, so you can keep joining us. You can keep all of the information, the playbook, everything. So, and you can cancel anytime. I'm not into, at this time right now, as I'm recording this, we are keeping it month to month. I know most groups right now are making you sign up for a year or a long commitment. Currently, we are still allowing month to month. And the reason for that is I know things change. So I don't want you to feel obligated. So it's really a no-brainer, in my opinion, if you are looking for support. So I honestly, again, originally created the Retailer's Inner Circle to help my retail friends who were asking for my help and asking me to create things to help them. That's how it all started. They started joining, and everything inside the group has organically grown from things that retailers have asked me to create for them. So everything inside is not just, I think you might need this. It comes from, hey, we need this. Could you get the resources and put them together for us? So that's where all the information and all of the several years now of our Retailer's Inner Circle content comes from. There's no perfect time in life, in retail. If you're always waiting for the right time, and I know you're busy, but retail success really does come down to doing the things that matter. So I would love to see you inside our Retailer's Inner Circle. It is designed to equip shop owners just like you to see the success that they want, so that you want. So no matter how much time you have every month, now in July is a great time to join us. You'll see success. I promise you. I pinky swear, promise you. Okay, let's get on with the show. Enough about that. Let's get on with the show. I am excited to reintroduce you to some of our fab members. On this episode, I want to reintroduce you to Millie Blackwell. We originally had this episode 132, and I wanted to bring it back because Millie and her husband Adam actually are building a crazy, amazing community, and she talks about this inside this episode. Millie is the owner of Mrs. Blackwell's Village Bookshop. It's in Greytown, New Zealand. She is a member of the Retailer's Inner Circle and also a member of my Level Up Mastermind group. So Millie opened her shop during the height of the pandemic. And when we discussed a little bit about that during the episode. But I also really want you to pay attention to some of the business marketing decisions that she shares. And it's all around building a community with her ideal client and her actual community of Greytown, some of the things that they are building and doing so that they can become a destination shop known New Zealand wide. Like that is their goal, not to just be known in their community. And I know that's a goal of many of our listeners. So listen to how she speaks about her attract strategies, her visibility strategies is how we call that, her attract strategies, how she kind of goes against the grain. Millie sometimes goes against the grain, which I love. It makes it a joy to work with her, and she's doing it her way and making those connections human to human. And you might be surprised to hear she's not on Facebook. Whew, imagine that, right? So there's lots of different things that Millie's doing that I think you will get great golden nuggets for. So enjoy this replay of Millie Blackwell, who's the owner of Mrs. Blackwell's Village Bookshop in Greytown, New Zealand. Let's go. Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, and today we are continuing our Retail Success series and introducing you to yet another amazing retailer. I'm so excited and thrilled to have Millie Blackwell, also known as Mrs. Blackwell from Mrs. Blackwell's Village Bookshop, all the way from Greytown, New Zealand, on the podcast today. Before I jump into the podcast and before we meet Millie, I just wanted to take a minute for a moment of gratitude. And, I recognize how blessed I am to have your attention here on the podcast. I know that your time is one of the most precious currencies that you have and that you can give. And I just wanted to say thank you so much today for listening, for spending your time and your attention here listening to the podcast. It really does mean a lot. Podcasting can be a lonely thing, not me and my mic. And I just love knowing that it's being helpful to you, the listeners, and I love the feedback from the podcast. So reach out, let me know if what your takeaways are, what you're enjoying about the podcast. Leave a review, follow along, subscribe to the podcast. I'm just really, really grateful, and I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for listening today. So without further ado, I do want to introduce you to Millie. Millie is a member of my Level Up and Accelerate Mastermind group, which we are currently accepting applications for. And if you're looking to join a group of shop owners like Millie, and when you listen to her, you can tell if she's the kind of shop owner, which I think you might think so, that you want to be part of, please investigate, get curious, just go have a peek. The applications are available on my website at wendybatten.com. No pressure, just have a peek. What could it hurt for you to have a peek and see what we're all about in our mastermind? Again, the conversation is different inside that group. And also, please reach out if you have any questions. I do get a lot of questions about the mastermind and wondering if it's the right fit for you or not. I'm an open book, y'all. If you're listening, you can reach out and chat with me anytime. You can DM me on Instagram at wendybattenbiz, or again, you can reach out to me on email at wendy@wendybatten.com. Pretty simple, huh? So let's get into our conversation with Millie Blackwell from Mrs. Blackwell's Village Bookstore. Absolutely stunning bookstore. You're going to have to go look that up. You're going to have to go search her and follow her and see all the wonderful things that she's doing. She opened during the pandemic, her beautiful bookshop during the pandemic. She's very growth mindset, community mindset. She's on her way to reach an incredible revenue goal. She shares that with us on the podcast. And also, she's going to share with you a little bit of her marketing strategy, which, my friends, includes no Facebook. Probably have your attention now, huh? So she is growing and thriving without Facebook. Y'all, we could learn a few things from her. So you will enjoy your conversation. Have a listen. Make sure you get a notebook, put your earpods in. Let's grab a coffee. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation and listen to what Millie has to say with us. Thanks, friends. So I have a treat for us today. Welcome, Millie Blackwell, to the Creative Shop Talk podcast.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Wendy.
I have invited Millie in here. Millie is a member of the Accelerator and Level Up Mastermind group, and I'm so thrilled to have you here. I want to say all the way from New Zealand, but you're in the US currently.
Live from Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon. So can you tell us a little bit, tell our audience a little bit about your business, what you do, and what lights you up about doing
it? Sure. So I own a bookshop based in Greytown, New Zealand. And Greytown is about 1 hour north of Wellington, which is the capital city at the bottom of the North Island, if you know New Zealand. And I opened my bookshop in December 2020. Our town is known for we've got a lot of preserved Victorian architecture, and that's what our town is known for. It's a weekend town that a lot of people domestic tourism comes to visit our little town. And yeah, we opened in December 2020. I signed my lease in early 2020, and we all know what was happening in that year. So my husband and I, we both own digital businesses, and we used to travel to 2019. We would travel back and forth to California for work. We would try to do 6 months in each country so we could be on a good time zone for our clients in North America. So in previous years, we had done a lot of home renovations. My husband, he also owns a shop. We'd done his shop all in the times that we'd been away. So we signed this lease in early 2020, and we thought, cool, we're going to build the shop and we'll come back in October and we'll open up and it's all going to be fabulous. And that's how everything had rolled in previous years. But the universe had a different plan for us that year. So yeah, that's all part of the story, I guess.
Tell our audience what type of books, what's your bookstore like? Can you explain a little bit about your business?
Yes, the actual store, good. So I call it a bookshop for curious minds and romantic souls. And what I mean by that is that we have a predominantly non-fiction selection, a lot of probably an outsized number of titles that start with the words how to. So a lot of things that teach people about somebody else or how to do something or how to improve their life in some way. That's a real focus of the book. So that's the curious mind part. And the romantic souls comes from, apart from books, we have a lot of, I guess, analog tools, beautiful fountain pens, wood pencils, notebooks, jigsaw puzzles. So that taps into the romantic souls part of the story.
Yeah, I love that. And your shop is beautiful. We'll definitely have some images of your shop. I want everybody to go visit you in person would be awesome. And I can't wait someday get to New Zealand to visit you. I'm actually planning 2024. I'm going to be coming to visit you in Greytown. But so you've also expanded your product line a little tiny bit, not just books. Like you said, you have fountain pens and you have added some other revenue streams since you opened. So when did you actually open the doors? Can you just share with us exactly when the doors open?
Yeah, so I guess one of the interesting parts of the story is that our shop, I had quite an ambitious plan for the fit out, and it was sort of hard to find a shop fitter that would take me seriously, because as soon as I said where I was in this tiny little town of 2,000 people, most professional shop fitters assumed that I wouldn't have the budget and they just wouldn't take my job seriously. But I eventually found a shop fitter in Christchurch in the South Island who took my job very seriously and built the whole thing in the South Island and put it on a truck and then on a boat to the North Island. It was like a huge game of Tetris when they brought it into the shop. So all this cabinetry that had to then be fitted back together. And we eventually opened the door in December 2020. So it took most of a year just because of delays with building materials and resources. So eventually we opened in December 2020.
So we've been working together for quite some time, and I had no idea that you had that fitted in South Island. That is quite the journey. That's so exciting. So beautiful. He did a great job. And you've both done a great job putting that together. You're very community minded. You mentioned a minute ago that your husband has a shop in town as well. I think it's really important. I'm a big believer that our small shops build communities, and the success of our small shops help build communities. Can you speak a little bit maybe to your husband's shop? Like, you're all really close, and a little bit more about what else is in your small town.
Yeah, so it's really hard to untangle my shop from our town. I think that Greytown is as much a part of the story of my shop as my shop is. And as you said, my husband also owns a shop called Blackwell and Sons, and it's a cycling lifestyle emporium. So he sells hand-built British bicycles. They're kind of in a Dutch style with the basket at the front. And then all the things that go with a country lifestyle, so picnic blankets and picnic baskets and beautiful things like that. So yeah, Greytown is very much a part of our story. The fact that we both have a shop there is part of the story. We refer to each other around town, and other people refer to us as Mr. Blackwell and Mrs. Blackwell. I sort of don't have a Christian first name anymore. So it's all very much intertwined, and that is on purpose. It's not just by mistake. I mean, our whole reason for opening a little shop in a small town is that we wanted to do our part to make sure that our small town survived and didn't become one of those towns that you drive through with all the shops boarded up, or most of the shops boarded up. And we felt like opening the shops was our contribution to that.
Yeah, I love that. And I've been loving watching you run you're not just running a shop, you're building a community, your whole town. You have other, like, again, and I sort of mentioned the other revenue streams. You have a puzzle line that you've started, and it's all based on it. You don't want to speak a little bit to your puzzle line, but also your other revenue streams. You've got the carts. You're building community in different ways. And can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so we started our puzzle line grew out of a poster. We started a poster range, which was some A2, so large format posters. And we had our friend who's an artist in Christchurch, Paul Rees. He designed our first poster, which was, people will be familiar with the art style. It's like vintage tourism poster. So there's an illustration of my husband and I, very highly stylized, with my husband holding a stack of books and me walking some pugs and in front of an iconic Greytown piece of architecture, the original library. And people loved this poster and said, what else could we have this piece of art on? Can you do postcards? Can you do magnets and stickers and, you know, all the things that you're used to seeing this kind of vintage art on? And jigsaw puzzles have been such a big part of my store that we decided that we would issue a range of jigsaw puzzles with this poster art on them. We were really lucky in the first year that we did that we got featured on the national 7 o'clock news as a story about a puzzle war going on between my husband and I, who could sell the most puzzles. And they really kind of took off from there. So we just recently issued a second release with a whole new series of art, and it's something we plan to continue to build on.
Well, it's fantastic. It's been fun watching you. So because you've opened during these crazy times, and I know it hit New Zealand as hard as it's hit the rest of the world, these unusual retail times, and you couldn't do your traveling, you couldn't do the things. Can we speak a little bit to your marketing? And well, first of all, let's speak to two things. Let's talk about how has it been? What's been the most difficult part in the last couple of years for you? And how have how have you built your market? How have you built that marketing and that clientele during a strange and unusual pandemic time?
Yeah. So one of the things that we've done that's really built our brand, which is, I guess, a little bit unusual in these times, is that we've invested in print marketing. So we've placed ads inside monthly magazines. Specifically, the one that's been the most effective for us is called Life and Leisure, and it's sort of aimed at, I guess, domestic tourists, which is exactly the kind of people that come to our town. So we went for a storytelling approach in there, and mostly it's just pictures of us in and around Greytown, and tells the story of why we started our businesses and what we're doing. So that's been a really effective way that we've built our brand, and people have known us, because it's not often that you see an ad for a shop that's in a town of 2,000 people in a national magazine. So because we went with the storytelling approach, a lot of people refer to our ads as articles. I read the article about you in the magazine, but it is a story that we've chosen to tell. And then the other main form of marketing that I use is Instagram. And for me, Instagram, it has always appealed to my personal values around storytelling, which is taking beautiful pictures and writing little stories. And so that's the approach I've taken to Instagram.
And you've also got, I've noticed your print marketing is beautiful. You have a little, what do you call it? The Bugle, the Blackwell Bugle.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like a newsletter. And I guess this sometimes we have a tendency as retailers, a lot of retailers listening right now, it's all about, social media, and they're forgetting about these, dare I say, old fashioned, but it's reaching your people where they are. I love your stories. I've read the articles, and the Bugle I thought was amazing. You were kind enough to send me a Bugle. Do you want to speak a little bit to it's literally your newsletter? So
yeah, I think we have we've got the impression that our social media has a lot more reach than it really does, because of the numbers that we're fed by the systems. And we think, well, 10,000 people have seen this post, and so therefore it must be a lot more effective than sending out a hard copy newsletter to 1,000 people. But I don't have any scientific data to back this up, but my anecdotal experience is that sending out a hard copy newsletter to 1,000 people on my database results in a lot more activity or a lot more sales than a post that is seen by 10,000 people online. And so I can really only go with my own experience and what we're actually seeing deliver results. So yeah, we do this quarterly newsletter. We share it, my husband and I. We call it the Blackwell Bugle, as you mentioned, and it's kind of half and half each store. When we make jokes about each other and the war that goes on between the competitors across the street, and we have a bit of fun with it.
yeah, I think it's really well done. I think that the whole connecting with your clients. And I know you do it in many other ways inside your store with your, actual shoppers and bookmarks and lots of other print goods as well too. But one thing you don't do, and let's talk about it. It's a hot topic. It's an unusual topic. It's an unusual thing that you don't do that everybody thinks they have to do. And you don't have any Facebook presence for your shop. And I love that. Do you want to speak a little bit to how that's working for you?
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I don't have a Facebook presence, and it's a couple of years since I thought about why, but it has come back up for me because I'm feeling not the pressure, but I guess I have a lot of conversations with friends about whether I should be on TikTok or not. And so I guess I've been revisiting the reasons why I don't have Facebook. And this, for me, there's kind of five. I'll try not to make this a long-winded manifesto, but there's there's five reasons.
Let's do it. I think I love your reasoning around this. So let's have it. Let's talk about it.
So when I thought about at the start whether I was going to do Facebook as well as Instagram, or which platforms I was going to be on, I had to say to myself, look, I'm one lady. Yes, I've got staff, and yes, I could hire help to do more platforms, but I'm only one lady with a certain amount of energy. And as I've just said, I had to think about where I could best spend that energy. And for me, Instagram, it just gels with my values of how I want to spend my energy. So I decided right from the start that with the limited energy I had for everything, but the segment that could go to marketing, I was best to spend my time on Instagram. So the original reason for not doing Facebook was just to say, right now I've got limited energy. I'm going to channel it into Instagram. Another reason is that there's a saying that it's come up a lot. I've heard it in the media recently. Someone must be talking about it, about the medium is the message. And they're talking about how this has become a bit of a negative thing over the years, that people are shaping their lives and their businesses around the medium that they want to share the message on. And me, at that time, I just thought that the messages that I'm comfortable sharing and that I know that I can share consistently would be through the medium of Instagram. And so as I'm assessing whether I'm going to join TikTok, I have to ask myself, is this a medium that I can share my best work through? And so for me, so far, the answer has been no. And obviously the answer was no through Facebook as well. Another reason is thinking about community. So, and people don't always think about the social media as a community, especially, I guess, not business owners. But for me, I consider that I am creating a community on the social media platform that I've chosen. I've actually made in real life friends out of my Bookshop social media account. And so I as much as I want to be dedicated to my community in my actual town, I also want to show that I'm dedicated to my community online. I think this is a big reason why people got so upset about those changes that Instagram made recently, where it felt like Instagram had yielded to the demands and the values of their advertisers over those of their users, because their users mostly, their true fans were like me and possibly you too, Wendy, where we wanted to share pictures and stories, not videos, and people reacted to that. So yeah, creating community is another one, and just you can't be in really creating three different communities. You can't really truly create a community on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, I guess, unless that's what you're entirely dedicated to. The two other reasons, I sort of come back to this, that I'm not a mini corporation. Like, there is a lot of pressure as a business owner, to mechanize and to automate just because you can, but you're not a mini corporation. At least in my case, I'm one lady who owns one shop in one small town. And then that comes back to my final reason, which is a lot of what we see online about building businesses comes to us from people who are building digital businesses. But as shop owners, we are building a real life business, a business with a physical presence in a town with a real community. So we don't have to be spending all our time marketing to the whole world to try to get thousands of users all over the world. Our job is to market to the people in our town or in our surrounds who would actually visit our store. So that's my reasons why I'm not on Facebook and why I probably won't join TikTok.
No, and I love that. I mean, it's, and again, to each, you've probably just given a lot of people a lot of things to think about. As far, oh, I don't have to be on Facebook. And it's true. We are inviting people across the threshold of our doorways, right? And I mean, are we doing that to the masses or one at a time through your 1,000 newsletters that you're sending out to your clients? And the actual touch point is so much more with that human to human connection, right? So we can grow and we can have, and I know you have attract strategies in place. Other, we're still building and we're still getting new, you're doing print magazines, you're doing other things. So I love those reasons. And I love the freedom that you must have with Facebook. And I know, so Millie must, here's, I think, you must hear us in our mastermind group conversations like, oh, I'm batching and I'm scheduling and I'm doing all this posting. And I love the idea that, we're not mini corporations. We're small, independent shops, one human at a time, one CEO at a time. We might be CEOs running our corporations, but we're still just running, we're only doing as much as we can. So I love that you shared all of those reasons. I think they're amazing. On that note, how, can you share a little bit, how has business been since, through the pandemic, and you're opening up, you're doing this, you're not on Facebook, you're doing it your way, you're connecting human to human. Can you share a little bit about how the trajectory has gone for you in the last year or so?
Yeah. Well, it's a fair question, because if I'm going to say I'm not on Facebook, I better prove that actually where that works.
We're still making money. Yes, it's working. We're selling books.
So yeah, we're into our second year. December is going to be the end of our second year of trading. In the first year, our top line revenue was 770,000, give or take a few dollars and cents. And then I had set a personal mission for this year. I wanted to be $1 million bookshop. That's just top line number. I don't know how to convert my shop size to foot, but for anyone who knows how to do it, my shop is 60 square meters, and that's small. That's like kind of a large bedroom, I guess, is how you describe that size. And yeah, obviously I'm a town of 2,000 people, but we do get a lot of domestic tourism. And yeah, my goal was to be $1 million bookshop. I don't think I've got my projections on what I think the next 3 months are going to do based on last year, but I don't think we're quite going to make it to 1 million, but we're definitely going to have an increase on last year. So I guess my 2023 goal will be to be $1 million bookshop.
And I think you're going to get there. I know. So Millie's tracking her numbers. She pays attention. She's doing that hard CEO work that a lot of people don't do. Tracking, measuring, tweaking. It's a lot of tweaking going on. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Working on that foot traffic. Working on converting clients. Training your staff. You've been working diligently to make that number happen. So I'm here cheering for you. We're watching that happen. What would you say?
You'll be the first to know when I am $1 million bookshop.
I get my reports every month from Millie. It's like, yes, we're getting there. So it's been a pleasure actually to watch you grow and thrive over the last 2 years. And through the pandemic, I mean, you've had your bumps there too. We've had closures. You've more restrictive than a lot of our US listeners might even be aware of. Like, see, we've done, you've done some pivoting on really pushing the e-commerce side, in addition to your foot traffic and your in-store sales through this, slower months and upper months, but also a lot of community events that you have been spearheading, back to that community thing. So in New Zealand, we have obviously the opposite seasons. So Millie just hosted, not, you didn't just host, but you spearheaded your community. You had a whole Christmas in July. Is that what was Christmas in the summer?
Yeah.
Was it Christmas in July? I'm confused. I'm thinking, wait a minute, was it July? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'll backtrack to say spearheaded would be a little strong. I'm part of a group of retailers in our town. About 70% of us get together. We pool some money to market our town together. And we call our little organization Country Village Heaven. So the Country Village Heaven group, we put on an event called the Greytown Festival of Christmas. So July is the depths of winter in our town, And so we decorate the whole town with lights. We had a gingerbread theme this year. We had markets in the evenings, and we projected lights onto some of our beautiful Victorian buildings. And it brought people to town at a time of year when it's very slow for tourism. But it's now the festival's in its third or maybe fourth year. I can't quite remember. But it's now the biggest festival in our region. It brings the most people to, it's obviously over a whole month versus one day events, but we bring the most people to our region out of all the events throughout the year.
Well, it was so well done. I didn't realize it was in its third year, but it was so well done. And again, to being community minded, collaboration with other community members, and becoming a destination. And that's a theme, we like to remind all our listeners about, it's not just about you, it's about your community
Right.
of members, your community of other shop owners. How can we work together? How can we pull together? I think you do that beautifully. I think it's important too. I think it's important for our communities. Again, our communities growth. Again, we don't want to be a community of big box stores. So I think that whole theme, I love that you did that. Again,
you're not an island. It's so important in a small town. It might be different in a bigger town, but in a small town, people aren't ever going to come for your one shop. There's exceptions, but for the most part, people need a collection of things to do. So the more you can reinforce that as a group, the better.
Yeah. And I do think we silo ourselves a lot. I think that I see that a lot. I live in a small town of 2,000 people. I see it happen. Everybody's trying to fight their own battle. And that's just not their own battle, but everybody's trying to, again, and I live in a tourist town, but it's still a struggle, come together, people. Try to get them together. And it's just, I find it beautiful watching what your community, what you are all doing, not just you spearheading, but I know that that's an important part for you as you grow your business. Can you share a little bit? We talk a lot on the podcast here about the struggles and ups and downs, the good stuff. We've just shared a lot of cool things and fun things. Could you share a struggle that you find, or one thing that you find most difficult being the CEO of a small independent bookshop in a town of 2,000 people? What would your struggle be that others might be able to relate to as well?
Well, I would say my biggest struggle as a CEO is that I'm quite a shy person, and I'm a shy introvert, which probably isn't actually that surprising since I own a bookshop. But so the hardest thing for me about being CEO is actually social occasions, or any time where I'm supposed to show up in person and be the CEO, be the boss. Even if that's not an expectation of my employees, just any kind of social event is the most hard for me. And it's always been that way. I own another business, and it's always been that way there too. Even like going out for a team lunch is always awkward for me. So that's probably the bit I struggle the most with, is social occasions.
So I find that so funny because you seem so social and you are always hosting things in the shop and doing all the things, but it's just that's something I just learned. So, and it's true. We can't, I guess we all have struggles in the CEO work, wearing that CEO hat. So I guess you're not wearing your CEO hat walking around town.
Right. And we're hosting an author event. The author's the one in the hot seat,
not happening. As we wrap up, I want to honor your time. I promised I wouldn't keep you that long. But as we wrap up, do you have any exciting coming up for the bookshop? Anything you want to share with us? What are you most excited about for what's coming up in the next year?
Yeah, so Christmas is obviously our big thing, and in New Zealand that happens in the height of summer. So the months all through November through really right through February, there are really exciting times in the shop. We have obviously all the Christmas stuff, and then through January, February, it's summer. There's a lot of public holidays in New Zealand in January, so people are relaxed and they've got time off. It's just a really awesome time to be in a shop. It's really fun. So I'm looking forward to going back to New Zealand for summer and being a part of all of that.
That's exciting. And I will say, New Zealanders love their time off.
We do.
I'm so jealous of that.
We're the world's most unproductive country, I think, between December and January.
Unproductive but happy. So how's that for, that's what life's all about, right? So as we wrap up, is there something you could share with the audience as we usually wrap up our podcast episodes? with a favorite mantra, a quote, maybe a favorite book you'd like to share, something to inspire listeners, other shop owners that are listening, that they could take away.
Well, of course, mine has to be a book.
Of course. I was like, I don't know why I'm saying mantra. So what's it?
Well, my mantra actually is, since I'll just take a liberty and share too, my mantra is things will probably go okay. So whenever I get worried about things, I just think it'll probably be okay, including being on this podcast, Wendy. It'll probably all be okay, even if I ramble on.
It's going to be okay. We're all good.
But my favorite book, sometimes I get hesitant to share this book because it's like it's a bestseller. It's like asking a film reviewer to tell you a great film, and then they say Top Gun. Well, the market's already proved that that's a great film. I don't need to be told that by a film reviewer. But this book, the reason I want to say is I know that a lot of your audience is North American, and I think this book probably didn't get its dues here because it came out with such a terrible cover and this terrible subheading here that I think it didn't go as well as it should have. So it's called 4,000 Weeks. The author is Oliver Burkeman. He's a British journalist. And in the US, it came out with a cover with a man holding a clock, and the subheading was Time Management for Mortals. And at least in New Zealand, it came out with 4,000 Weeks, Time and How to Use It. And it had a beautiful picture of a beautiful bench seat beside a lake. A gorgeous cover on its own. And I don't know how these publishing decisions get made, but the book it's not a productivity book. He kind of describes himself as a recovering productivity book guy. It's actually about using your time well. So the title, 4,000 Weeks, if you live to be 80 years old, you will live 4,000 weeks. And when you put your life into weeks, if you're 40 or just over 40 like me, that means you've got 2,000 weeks left. And that suddenly sounds like not very many weeks. So the point of this book is to recognize how drastically short your life is and how to use the time you've got well versus how to be as productive as possible in your time, which I think is the focus of a lot of productivity books. So yeah, this book, 4,000 Weeks, Oliver Burkeman. It's not often that I would recommend a book that I just would wholeheartedly say everybody should read. But in this case, this is one of them because the message is really important.
Oh, I love that. So yeah, I've actually, on that note, I love that. We'll definitely have links to that book and we'll try to find the good cover. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So on that complete note, I've just been following a lot of stories lately. My life in weeks, and we've been tracking our life in weeks, and it's eye-opening, isn't it? You start looking at like your life in weeks, so 1 week turns into the next. So I love that 4,000 weeks. So that's great. Thank you for that recommendation. And I think we're gonna have to get Millie to start a business book club with us.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're talking. We'll do some kind of. We're gonna collaborate on that somehow in the future. So stay tuned and listen to it. We'll share that with the rest of our audience soon. I think there's so many amazing books, and we're all so busy. It's hard to. We're also busy because we're recovering. We're not reading the right books, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Millie, for being on the Creative Shop Talk podcast today. I am so grateful that you found the podcast. And so you started following the podcast. I think I got this not strange, that sounds mean, but I got this beautiful email from this New Zealand woman who said, your podcast episodes must have just jumped in New Zealand because I've been binging, and it was so fun to read that very first email from you. And it's been a pleasure to have you in the mastermind group, and now here and sharing your story on the podcast. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Wendy.
Anything else to add before we leave?
Stay hydrated, get some exercise.
Very good advice. Read a book. Read a book. So we'll have a whole podcast on the stay hydrated and exercise content as well too. So thank you, Millie. We'll see you soon. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.